okay, you ask for the portion of
Yes.
Va'era. Okay, Va'era. The portion Va'era, it's a beautiful portion, but now we have a very huge question on the table. The question is how to handle the shell. The shell, it's everything, according to the Jewish psychology, you have an inner fight between two souls. And the external soul, the one that takes you to choose external things, to be only an external person that what is most important to him, how he looks like, how much he earns, and what people think about him. And those are most important thing, but they are external. You do not have a connections to your inner unit, inner essence, what is really you, and the most, and the portion of Va'era we are getting into, we are just few minutes before the 10 plagues, and Moses and Aaron are Moshe and Aaron. It's okay to use the Hebrew word, right? And Moshe and Aaron are about to they are being invited to Paro, to Pharaoh, and they ask him for the last time, give us a chance, let our people go. And we are in, there is this last happening before the 10 plagues, that if we will be able to understand this happening, what is going on there, we will be able to understand what the question that I started with, which is, how can you handle your external being? How can you, let me rephrase it. According to Jewish psychology, you have two modes. One mode is to be external, and the other one is to be internal. In Hebrew, it's chitzoni vepnimi. And external, it's like being a shell. It's like it's not really you. Something else has control on you. What is this something else? You have desires to eat. You have desires to something. If you have a desire, what does it mean? That something is controlling you. You need something, you don't have it, and this thing controls you. They found the head of the Israeli Mossad who went with, doesn't matter the story, but in this moment, every moment it could happen to each one of us, but in this moment, you are external in a way of what? That something else is controlling you now. You're not being controlled, you're not controlling yourself. The desires, the cravings, the undesirable emotions, your thoughts, something else external is now controlling you, and you do not have a control on yourself, and that is being external. And in the Hasidic world, it's something very nasty to be, because you are like chitzoni, you are external, you are not an internal person, you are not being connected. And when somebody is connected to his essence, you can feel it. And the whole Exodus, they're all getting the way that we got out of Egypt, the modern understanding of it is that you have to get out of those boundaries that catch you and close on you and that makes you an external person. And being internal is something very unique, because you have to be internal in an external world. Whenever someone is now telling a story about himself, is uploading a post, writing something, he's now being external, because he's now telling the world, look at me, how am I am so important, I am so nice, buy from me. So he's not an internal person, because internal one, what does it mean to be internal? That nobody can judge you, that you do not, you don't care, but not in a way that you do not care. It's not really important to you what the world is doing. The only thing that is important is if you discover your own powers. And just a minute before the 10 plagues, Pharaoh is inviting Moshe and Aaron, and they are giving him, and they are now doing the marvel that if Pharaoh will understand, and if he will really understand and will penetrate into this marvel, understand what it means to us, we will be able to what? To understand the ways to overcome undesirable emotions, external, point of view of life, and being internal and getting out of Egypt. Egypt is the code word to everything that is external, that everything that you're like you have an independent entity that is not connected to divinity, to godliness. That is Egypt. It's like being in Egypt, it's not being yourself. Something else is controlling you. In Hebrew, it's the place that all Ervat Haaretz, the lowest place, that everything happened there. That people are paying all the taxes to their cravings. And when you are being controlled by your cravings, you are being controlled, as I said a minute ago. So let's get into the marvel, and I want to present three interpretations. One interpretation is of Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev. You heard about the Berditchever? The Berditchever was a Hasidic interpreter, a Hasidic master. It was a very deep, and he's called, you heard about him? Sanigoram Shel Israel, the one that always, that always categorized on Israel, that they're saying good things on Israel. And the second one is Shemi Shmuel. He's also a very new, I think, not new, he passed away about 100 years ago, exactly 100 years ago, but he was a prolific writer on the Jewish portion. And the third one is Baal HaTanya, that we know well, the Alter Rebbe, the founder of the Chabad movement. And while reading their interpretation to this marvel, we will understand what they want from us in order to overcome those external, the shell that is closing on us, and do not let you be yourself and be connected. And now you can be connected. Let's get into the story itself. The story says like that. When Pharaoh speaks to God, is inviting Moses, he's calling Moses, he's talking to Moses and Aaron, and as follows. And I'm reading from the translated Chumash, and he's saying like that. When Pharaoh speaks to you and says, produce marvel for yourself, and listen to the language, produce language for yourself. כי ידבר אליכם, פרעה לאומר, תנו לכם מופת, give yourself. It's like, I do not give myself a marvel. I'm doing it for you in order that you will be convinced that I have the power. You know the story, right? I'm getting into the story. It's like they are going to Paro in order to convince him to let the Jewish people get out of Egypt. And he's saying, and he will ask for a marvel to prove that God sent you really. You must say to Aaron, take your staff, take your stick, and throw it down in front of Paro, and it will become a serpent, a snake. That's the first marvel. And then, so Moses, and now we're getting into the real episode, what really happened. Now that's what God is said to Moshe and Aaron. And now Moshe and Aaron are in front of Paro. Without any interpretation, we are getting into the next, to what happened. So Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh's and did exactly as God had commandment. Aaron threw his staff down in front of Paro, and in front of his magicians, he had all kind of magicians, and it became a serpent. Paro is laughing now. He said, this is what you have to do to me? That's it? The only thing that you can do is take a staff, take a stick, and it will become a serpent? It's nothing really serious. My magicians can do it as well. So he called his magicians, and he summoned his wise men and magicians, and they are doing the same thing. Likewise, they're throwing the sticks, and the sticks becomes serpent. And then the serpent of Aaron get back again to a stick, to a staff. And now this staff is swallowing their serpents. Okay, and that's the whole story. And Pharaoh says, oh, okay, nice, very good. You did it. You swallowed all my magician stuffs, but still Paro was abstained, and he paid no aid to Moses, and now we are getting into the 10 plagues. That's the story. And we're starting with the blood. So when you are looking deep into this marvel, what happened? They had a staff. It became a serpent. The serpent, their staffs also made a change and became from staff to a serpent, and that's the whole story. And they ate the serpent and Moses' staff ate the serpent of the Pharaoh's magicians. So what is it? What do you want to understand from out of it? How can you solve the question that I asked? How not to be an external person? How not to be a person that is being controlled by his cravings, by his undesirable emotions? How can you solve this question with this marvel? Okay, let's get into the commentary. We'll start with I don't have it in English, so I'll try to summarize. Let's get into Rab Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev. The Berditchev there, whoa, I've been there in the Ukraine, is something else. He was a giant, a real giant. And it was really, there is one story about him, just to let you know who he was. There was one story that he met a person getting out of the synagogue in Rosh Hashanah and is smoking and eating. And he comes to him and he asks him, you don't know that today is Yom Kippur, that you are not allowed to smoke? Say, I know. And you don't know that today is Yom Kippur and you are not allowed to eat? He say, I know. So he turns back to God and said, wow, look what is a Jew. He knows that today is Yom Kippur. He knows that he's not allowed to smoke. He knows that he's not allowed to eat, to eat in Yom Kippur, but still he cannot get out of his mouth even one lie. He cannot lie. So this person, this Rab Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev, this giant, couldn't see the bad in people. And he's saying like that. What they are, you remember what we read, give yourself, tnu lachem, a marvel. Give yourself. And he asks, why do you have give yourself? I'm giving to Pharaoh a marvel. I'm doing to him a magician in order to convince him that God is with us. And he's saying, no, give yourself. The Oli Ari said, Ari, the founder of the Loriani Kabbalah, we talked about him a bit. He passed away at the age of 38, and he changed the whole point of view that Jews, that you can see the Kabbalistic literature and understand the way the word is manifests itself and God manifests himself in the word. And he's saying, the Ari wrote that every person should believe that every word that he gets out of his mouth does something to the Creator, make him feel nachat ruach, make him feel good, make him feel, you are influencing everything when you are talking. It's not like you are in a closed room and you can talk whatever you want, and then you get out to work and now you talk what you need to. Every word that you get out of your mouth influence. Everything that you are doing, every thought that you have in your thoughts is influencing. And living like that, it's something unbelievable, because you know that every moment in your life is influencing, and every moment in your life is important. And there is no such a thing, something that is not important. And when you're thinking like that, and you are doing, and you're making your Creator happy with you, this is his language. So what is the result of that? That you know that there is nothing neutral, that every moment is important. So you keep your words, and you do not, you say, oh, I just told my wife like this and like that. I happened to be that I was in stress, so I talked to her like that. And I was in stress, so, I shouted on my children, and I make them feel like they are not worthy enough, and now they are going up to school with this feeling that they are not worthy. No, there is nothing like that. And when you realize that, I told you, when I delivered all kind of workshop on winning every moment, people say, okay, I understand, it's very nice, very intelligent, very, very deep, but to make a change, a lot of time, many people say, this is very hard. But when you see that you're influencing for positivity or for negativity on your children, when you see the influence of what you are saying on them, then you say, okay, no, I'm not ready. Everything I say, everything I get out of my mouth, I see the difference. I see the influence on them. So I'm trying to stop it. So I won't be in this place. I'm not ready to speak like that. So what the Rab Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev says, he says something very unique. He says, all of those marvels that Moshe and Aaron did were for them, not only for Pharaoh. Because what is your shell? What is the place? Shell, it's like being external. It's you have the fruit, and the shell like covers the fruit. But really, you do not eat the shell of a coconut or something like that. You don't eat the shell. So what's the idea? If you really understand how you influence the world by this marvel of making this change from a staff, from a stick to a serpent, when you understand the power of your speech, and everything, if you will read it in Hebrew, everything was by the speech. He spoke to the staff. And when you understand how much you are influencing every moment, you won't do that. So what's the Reb Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev says? Everything depends on how you see it yourself. If you're just someone that I just spoke or just did, you're not important. You're not important, guy. I can allow myself, I can allow myself to act whatever I want. I can allow myself to do whatever I want, and to act like that because I'm not really influencing, and nobody really cares if I'm now, screaming, if I'm now shallowing, if I'm now thinking whatever I want. If nobody really cares, it's not really matters. Then you're losing your influence. Then you're being controlled. You're being in this shell. You are external. You are not, you're not breaking the shell. You are not getting penetrating inside and really understanding. And it's all about you. It's not about Paro and Egypt. It's all about your boundaries. And what is your deepest boundary? That you don't believe in yourself. You do not believe that every moment is important. That is what, and he says, only speaks positivity. Only see in a different view this life. And we have life in Miami, in Israel. We have good life. I think it's the best period of the Jewish world ever. Never in the past we had a better period of time, in the past. But still we have all the complaints, all kinds of complaints, and Rab Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev lived in one of the worst period, comparing to the Holocaust, nothing is worse, but it was a very hard period of time back then in the Ukraine. It wasn't Ukraine then, it was White Russia, and he's saying it's all about you. It's all about your perspective, and all the marvels are for you. You know that you will wake up. It's not for pharaohs. And when you will wake up, pharaohs will understand that you have the power, and he will leave you. And you catch yourself. You are putting to yourself your boundaries. This was Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev. This was his point of view. Let's get into Shem Shmuel. Shem Shmuel, it's another interpretation to if you have a question, feel comfortable on each one of them. Shem Shmuel is the Admor of Sochochov, and he asks something else. He says, is a bit deep, so hold your mind, hold it. He asks, how can, a chapter before, a portion before, we had Moses is saying to God, they won't believe me. The Jewish people won't believe me. They won't accept me as their leader. So what can I do? So he gives him three marvels. The first one, you remember them? Remember those marvels? The first one was to take the snake, to take his staff, and it is transformed into a snake. It can change itself. The second marvel, he gives him, you can take your hand and put it over here and take it out. And the first time it will be, how would you say, tzarat, and it will be with the zis, with some kind of a plug. You remember tzarat?
Leprosy.
Leprosy, right. And the first time it will have leprosy, and the second, so you heard about it a bit. And at the second time, it will change back to be a normal hand. And the last marvel is, well, you will take a bit of water from the Nile, and this water will become into blood. So it says, how come that the Jewish people that should be believers, that should be, it is written that the Jews are believers, the sons of believers. So how come that the Jews that are believers needs three signs, three marvels, and the Egyptians, pharaohs, needed only one, only the one with the staff and the snakes? How come? What's the logic of it? And he's saying, okay, it's all a way of understanding how to deal with your, in Hebrew you have this word Yetzer Hara. In Hasidic literature, in the literature of the Alter Rebbe, you won't find a lot of writings about Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Hara, it's the evil inclination that you have, evil tendency that you have. And because when you read the Alter Rebbe perception, there is nothing evil. What is evil? Evil is disconnecting. Is that you are not connected to yourself. What is evil? When I cannot understand someone else, there is a bit of evil. Think about the Nazis. They were evil to the Jews. What does it mean to be evil? That they couldn't see Jews. I think I told you that I saw a picture from 1944 of those. There was in Auschwitz. There were only 24 Germans that handled the place, and about 1.5 million Jews were murdered out. There only 24 Germans were there, and I saw a picture from 1944 of those 24. They were 24 young managers, you can call them, I don't know. And there were, and the picture behind them, you could see those, the places that they burned the Jews there. And you can see them, like that, and they were smiling and happy and together, hanging together and hugging one each other, and very, very, very cute, very cute. And it was like amazing. I think in another world, another situation, another period of time, we could be friends. But in this, in this unbelievable reality, they murdered 1.5 million Jews. They murdered them. Old, young, women, men, everything. And what it was, I believe they didn't even hate Jews. They were like evil. What is evil? Evil that they did. I don't see you as a person. I don't see you. You're not count. You're not important. I cannot see you. And you can see it, when you're walking to I don't know how it is in Miami. I think it's the same. And when you are walking, and you are this cashier that is looking to you, and you do not really pay attention to this cashier. It's not important. It's something else. This is a bit of evil. Why? Because you do not see really him. It's all about you. He has to give you. Nobody has to give you something. Nothing. He has to give you. You have to serve you. Nobody has to serve you, even though you pay. Now convince him to give you. It's a different perspective. And he says there is an external evil and there is internal evil. What is the internal evil? That you are being controlled. So what is when you are evil to yourself? How can you break it? How can you change the place you are? So he says it's very hard, and you need 3. And he's using now another Jewish idea. You need 3 paths. The first path is learning Torah. What does it mean? Something is trying to control you. Now you have to change the way you view life. You cannot let the news control you. You cannot let external things control you. You cannot let the work control you. You have to learn. You have to change the way you see life. You have to really penetrate how this world is being manifested, how it's being created, and how you can live in it, and what is your role in life. And you have to learn. But sometimes this is the first road to walk in order to overcome external views, external shell. But sometimes it's very hard, says Shem Shmuel. It's very hard. Why? Because you are full of things, and all those cravings create you, and the thing that bothers you, and the sustained botherness, and all kinds of things control your life. And it's very hard for you to learn. Most people does not learn. They do not know who they are, what they are doing. They are just looking to have a better life, to have a better hour, to have a better drink, to have a better food. They're not, contemplating on their life. So it's very hard. So the second advice, the second suggestion of our sages is to call Kriyat Shema. Kriyat Shema is the call Shema Israel, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Contemplate Israel. Our God is one, and the God that is beyond the words, the name of the God beyond the words is the Word, is the God that is creating the world right here. He is illuminating his light, and now he's creating everything. And Jews calls this call Kriyat Shema. Say it twice a day, in the morning and in the evening. And there is this story about Rabbi Akiva. You heard about Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was, everything in the Bible, in the Talmud, it is written that everything is after Rabbi Akiva. It changed the way Jews view the world. And today we are not Jews of the Bible. We are Jews that following Rabbi Akiva. his perspective of Judaism. He gives you, everything, his perspective on how to view the world, how to understand Judaism is according to Rabbi Akiva. And when he was 120, I think that last week we didn't read it, but we read it. I don't remember it in Hebrew the way he died. You remember the way he died? So we remember that at the age of 120, they put in his flesh, the Romans put into his flesh all kinds of, how we called it, in Hebrew it's masrekot barzel. It's like they took his flesh out of his bones, something unbelievable, and he screamed, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And his pupils, his disciples said, how can you accept that? How can you scream like that? How can you call? And he said, all my life I waited for this moment, not to be controlled by nothing, to call Shema Yisrael, and it's something like unbelievable. There was this story about Roy Klein. You heard about Roy Klein? You heard about him? Roy Klein, about in the Second War in the North. He was with his friends. He got into Lebanon, and they were in the situation that he could save himself, but they throw an hand grenade into the room, and he decided he was the commander there of this unit that got into the room, and he decided you have only three seconds. It's like 3 seconds to decide. It's something that is in your way you view things. It's like it's in you or not. And he decided to jump on the hand grenade, and he saved his friends. He jumped on the hand grenade. His wife married a rabbi from never mind, and he screamed in those 2.5 seconds that he had, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. It's like nothing in this world can control me now. I have a kind of a pleasure of not being controlled in this world, and it's very gentle. You cannot, it's not like it's something. It's like I let myself be unconditional in a way that it takes you to the extreme. So he says, when you things does not go very well, try the second path, to call Kriyat Shema, to call that like there is nothing in this reality. The last path, it's a very universal one. If those first two doesn't work for you, that you are in a craving. You really want this thing. You really want it, and you are ready to pay everything. You are the chief of staff of the Mossad, and you are ready to pay, to pay the price in order to get this 5 minutes of joy. I don't know what. Now you have to call yourself. Come on, Yechiel, don't destroy your family. Don't just destroy your life. Don't destroy everything that you have. Try not to be in this place. So first thing he says, try to learn. It will take you out of these cravings, out of this shell. If you cannot, because you're too full of yourself, try something else. If too full of, being controlled by this emotion. Try something else. Try now to stop everything and call Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Maybe it will help. Maybe something will move in you. Maybe you will decide not to destroy her life, your life. And we had Nasi. We have that failed on these things. We have Bibi that is now paying the price because of a cigar that he wanted. You can't buy for yourself a cigar. What's the problem? Buy yourself a cigar. But I can't. You know that everyone is looking on you. You know that. We had a president that for 5 minutes destroyed his life and went into jail for 20 years. What are you, crazy? What are you doing? You know that. In your head, in your mind, you know that. But still, so the second path is called Kriyat Shema. Say like Roy Klein, nothing exists in this reality. The God that is above, this is the God that manifests, that animates the world. And if you will be able to do that, you will be able to change. It's like, who did that 3-4 portions ago, few portions ago? Who did that? You remember Joseph. It sounds to me. So he got into the house of Potiphar's wife, and she was beautiful, and it is written that she changed her clothes every day for him, and he was so handsome. It is written that she invited her friends to see him, and one friend, when she cut an apple And she looked at him and she cut her hand because it was so beautiful. And she had such a desire. And one day he got into her house, into the house, in order, it is written to do his job. And one commentator said, to do his job, come on, let's do it. And what he saw the image of his father. What was the image of his father? What we are talking now. He saw that there is something, something can help me now when I'm all in this. It's not me. And it could be, we are now talking about cravings, but it could be also when you are in an angry mood and now you can kill the whole world and destroy whatever you built and, and destroy everything because you are angry. Okay. So now we have the last road. What is the last one? The last one, it says, if nothing of those roads can help you, now lose the last one. The last road is to remind yourself the day that you are going to die. Contemplating, we are flesh and blood and flesh, flesh and bones, and when you are contemplating on the day you die, and it's like it should in the way stops you and tells you, whoa, look at you. You were young, now you are. It's all temporary. It's not real. This craving that you have, it's not real. How can you let it control you? At the end, you are going to another journey. Try to get into this journey and to look what is really important in this life, and you have other things that is important in this life. So try to contemplate that. So what Shem Shmuel is saying, let's get back to the story, is saying all those three ways correspond with the first three marvels that God gave Moses in order to what? To show them, to overcome the undesirable emotions that they have, the undesirable, those klipa, this shell that they have, this external way of thinking, way of living. How? He says the serpent corresponds to what? To contemplating on the day that you can die, and the end of life. It's not about eating and drinking. There is something else. And most people, when they're getting to the age of 50, something like that, and you look to the left and to the right, and you see people dies around you, and you ask yourself questions. Am I fulfilling myself? Am I doing something important? What is my life all about? Until now, I paid the mortgage, I got married, I did everything. It was all about, achieving what I need to achieve. Now I see everything, and it's about time to ask, is there something internal? And usually when they do not ask the right questions, they won't get the right answers, because they will look for something else that they don't have, they didn't achieve yet, and they will try to achieve it. And they will not contemplate on what Shem Shmuel is suggesting. What he's suggesting? First, in order to overcome, try the serpent, that is the stuff that is becoming to a serpent. It's like reminding you the end. The second one, how we called it, the leprosy. What is leprosy? It is written that there is nothing more than joy, and there is no illumination higher than joy, and there is nothing lower than leprosy. And in Hebrew it sounds better, because in Hebrew joy is tanug, and leprosy it's nega, and they are the same words, oneg venega, ein nun gimel. It's like nega, nun gimel ein. It's just you switch the words. So what you are left, it's all about what is your joy all about. The greatest joy, he says, the greatest joy is not, fulfill something very, temporary. It's belonging. It's, seeing something. There is nothing better than put yourself aside and throw your hands and say, oh, I'm not so important. I just have a role here. I don't make out of myself something so important. I'm in a mode of nullifying myself. It's not that I'm not important. I'm important, but I'm not so important. It's like holding the stick in both sides. It's like I'm not important because it's not about me, but I'm so important because I have a message. I have something to bring to the world. So it's not me, it's the message. I have a mission life. Mission, it's too bad because it's like a Christian word, but I have a mission life. And the second marvel, it's the leprosy. And the third one, we said it's the blood. It takes the water and became a blood. A blood, he says, it's connecting. The soul is being connected to the body where? In the blood. So it's like this connection it's correspond to the way you learned. In a way, I don't want to get deep into it because it's a deep idea, but it says when you have a connection, the connection starts with your mind. Start with where are you? What are you connected to? And let's close it all together, what he said here, what Shem Shmuel said. He said to the Egyptians, you cannot, to the Klippa, when you are hungry, you are not now ready to learn. You cannot learn, you cannot contemplate, because you are being controlled. And you cannot say called Kriyat Shema, because it does not concern you now. I want this craving. What you can achieve now is contemplating on the staff being a stick, contemplating on this change. What is the change? The change is what will be the end. So in saying those 3 steps, and the step that is suggesting to Pharaoh is the step of what? Of overcoming your evil inclination, evil desires. And it's like when you really understand those 3 steps, you will have like a map road how to overcome them. And it's a bit, I feel it's a bit fast and a bit deep, but you can understand what he wanted. He wanted you to suggest you, if you will accept, if Paro would accept, according to the story, to the biblical story, if he would accept what Moses and Aaron presented to him, the point of view, the marvel, he wouldn't need to get all those 10 plagues. You do not need the plagues. Like, you can save them. So if you want to save the sorrow in your life, the agony, the hard life, what you need to do, to change your perspective. But if you cannot do that, okay, come on, let's go to the plagues. Let's go to blood, to everything else. Why? Because you're not ready now to accept what? To contemplate on this life and who you are, who animates you. So this was the second interpretation, where the first interpretation, do you remember the Reb Levi Yitzchak of Berditchev that said it's all about the way you appreciate yourself. The second one is the way that you are overcoming your undesirable cravings and evil inclination will be the right phrase to use. And the third one, it's of the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe suggests something very unique. If Shem Shmuel was deep, the Alter Rebbe is deeper, but we will try to summarize it in few words. And he's saying, come on, it couldn't be so superficial. Let's think about it together. It cannot be so superficial. It cannot be that you have desires, cravings, you have your shell, you have your external life, and you have your internal life, and it's being connecting to your essence, to who you are, to accept yourself unconditionally, and there is a battle, and to look for unity in life, and to look for your message in life, and there is a battle between those two, and that's it, and you have to win the battle. Something else, if someone brought you into this battle, if somebody took the Jewish people and put him in Egypt, you have something to do in Egypt. If you're in Miami, you have something to do in Miami. The idea is not that you will come to Israel. It's like, I'm taking it to the wrong place. That you have something to do in Miami. If you are there, you have something to do there. If I'm now with you, I have something to do here. I have a message to deliver. I have something to take with me. I have, according to his word, there is a spark, a godly spark, that is hidden somewhere, and you have to take it out. You have to reveal it. Because this spark, you are now walking with a candle, and you are looking of sparks. It's like your child is a very intelligent child, and is a very successful, and is doing great things. But still, you see that you have a potential that is unimplemented, and you can see he can get more out of himself. So if there is this spark, and you are thinking as a parent, how could they reveal this spark? How could they really manifest all of his attributions, all his powers, how can he be the better person that he could be, the better child that he could be? This is the question. Now you are looking for sparks in Egypt, and he's saying this whole world is world of sparks. And now you are walking in this world, and you are trying to find them out. But what's the real problem? What's the problem? The problem is when you have a craving, when you are external, when there is a shell that is hiding the spark, it feels like it independent entity, like nothing created it. Now being, try to be concentrate of the idea, of his idea, is trying, it's like you are being, it's like this external thing thinks it's me. When I am now want to eat this cake, it's only me and the cake. Now, and I have diabetes. Okay, now close the door. Nobody sees me. It's me with and my desire to this cake, and I eat it, and I feel nobody sees me. When you want something, you feel nobody sees you. It's all about you. There is nothing in the middle. So the Alter Rebbe said we have to wake you and to show you that it's not like that. It's not, you are never alone in the world. You are always there is. You are not. You are trying to reveal sparks, and you cannot reveal sparks if you are so concealed. If it's all about you. If you are independent entity. So what he's doing, think about it. He's taking the stuff. The stuff means in Hebrew it's mateh. Mateh, it's something it's the order of revealing things. It's like mateh, in Hebrew it's leshon amshacha ve'ataya. It's like bringing down something. Amshacha is bringing down something. And mateh, it's mateh, what it means the inner power of things. You have an inner power of the soul that illuminates in you, and you have an inner power of the godly soul that illuminates in the world. So what he's saying you have this stuff, and now this stuff became a serpent. I want to show you, pharaohs, how you think that the external thing stands by itself. No, it's a part of what? It's a part of the kedusha. It's a part of the stuff. It's a part of the stick. It comes from it, because you are belonged. You are not independent. What is your source? What is the source of the external things? It's also internal. Now seize it, and now again you think that you can manifest the same thing, and you can show snakes. See how my stuff can eat all the snakes. What does this mean? That if you are being connected and you see this connection, it's like, remember Joseph that showed the image of his father. What does it mean he saw the image of his father? He now contemplated, and what he saw something that is connected to something higher, to heritage, to a different level of morality, to its and when you do not see it, what you only see? What I want my wife to be as I want, and if not, I want another wife. I want to change. I want something else. And what he's saying to you, when you're getting out of this childish and like an independent entity that like you're not connected and you won't influence nothing, you're influencing, and you have children, and it's not like not choosing what you need. It's preferring a better life. Like not if I let myself free, well, where I can go. Don't let yourself free. And when you do not, when you are constrained and contain yourself, and you have a better, understanding of your inner self, you know that all the external things, all the fights, all the battles, they have a root. The root in holiness. They have a root. And you are trying to look for this root. What does it mean? If a boy, let's get it down to earth some more. If someone is now, if you see your child that is angry, there is a reason. Don't tell him don't be angry. It won't work. Try to find the reason. What is the reason? He needs warmth and love. He does not accept himself. He does not appreciate himself. He does not think that somebody is listening to him. And if nobody listens to me, what do I need to do? I need to scream in order that somebody will listen to me. If you are listening to me, I don't need to scream. So he's saying there is a reason, an inner reason, a positive reason to everything. Try to connect the positive reason with the external negativity. And when you connect them together, now the food came. I see. And when you can connect them together, you can save yourself from the 10 plagues. But if you want, the plagues will come. Why? You will get divorced. You will make your children miserable. You will stop your diet, etc., etc., etc. So we close this perception, I think. Questions a bit. Get me down to earth. Yeah.
No questions?